Hey everyone, it's Black Child here. And as we've all seen,
9/11, the worst terrorist attack in our history, was planned and directed from Afghanistan.
Donald Trump basically blamed Afghanistan for 9/11 and then used that as the reason as to why they needed to continue this endless war.
Because that country was ruled by a government that gave comfort and shelter to terrorists.
And, cost more lives of civilians both in the country and military people in America. And then he basically said,
Our nation must seek an honorable and enduring outcome worthy of the tremendous sacrifices that have been made, especially the sacrifices of lives.
we need to produce an outcome worthy of the sacrifice of human life of the American troops, which basically equals more human life lost because they lost their lives, and now we're going to kill more people now, thousands more Afghanistans. And then, he basically says they're wiping out terrorists, killing terrorists, when in reality, it's basically like an insurgency. It's an illegal occupation based upon lies of the lie that Afghanistan perpetuated the attack on Lower Manhattan in 9/11, and that was the reason that we need to go and occupy their country. And then if anyone fights back who, is from Afghanistan, they're labeled a terrorist and we need to kill them. So that idea that, he's saying they're going, to not leave Afghanistan until all the terrorists are dead, it just sounds like an ethnic cleansing campaign. We're just going to kill everybody, continue this endless war in Afghanistan, and I guess just keep bombing it until it turns into, some wasteland, and then they could just make it into Dubai, make it into Dubai, which is like a proxy American state. They just, I guess they want to turn it into a place like Dubai where they could just pour money into it and then go there on vacation and laugh and say, oh, look at what we've done, look at how far we've come. So it was pretty pathetic in my opinion. And then, I've always been somebody that said Donald Trump was full of shit when it came to 9/11.
And he's had the gall to go after
The World
my
Trade
mother.
Center came
He's
down
had the
during
gall
your
to go
brother's
after
reign.
my
Remember
mother.
that.
Hold on.
Let me finish this.
Right? I mean, it came down.
I said in an interview that, how can you say you were safe under his brother when we just had the worst attack in the history of our country? You can't say you were safe.
I had to say, I'm sorry, but we weren't safe. The World Trade Center came down.
They knew an attack was coming. George Tenet, the CIA director, knew in advance that there would be an attack, and he said so to the president.
There's still 28 pages of the 9/11 Commission report
Right.
that have never been revealed.
Right, and they should reveal
I
it.
got the impression that you knew something maybe we don't know about the Saudis'
I think you will
involvement.
find out when that's opened. I think you're going to find out that Saudi Arabia had a lot to do with the ripping down of the
Would
World
you
Trade
open
Center.
that if you became president?
I would open it, yeah.
You would. Let the American people
What
know.
I'm saying, and look, we attacked Iraq.
Yeah.
But Iraq didn't knock down the World Trade Center. When you open up those pages, you're going to find out who did.
I've never been somebody who even, I personally think it's chilling even to say that Saudi Arabia did it. That's still chilling to me. But then for him, all throughout the campaign, blame George Bush for, being, president when it happened, saying it could have been Saudi Arabia. You need to check out the 9/11 Commission report.
And in all fairness, we went after Iraq. They did not knock down the World Trade Center, okay? It wasn't the Iraqis that knocked down the World Trade Center. We went after Iraq. We decimated the country. Iran's taken over, okay. But it wasn't the Iraqis. You will find out who really knocked down the World Trade Center because they have papers in there that are very secret. You may find it's the Saudis, okay? But you will find out.
As I outlined in my speech in Saudi Arabia 3 months ago, America and our partners are committed to stripping terrorists of their territory, cutting off their funding, and exposing the false allure of their evil ideology.
And he also said that when he was president, that he would, consider releasing pages from it. Well, clearly he's not going to do that now because, maybe he will, because maybe the 9/11 official report said that Afghanistan was responsible, so now he's just going along with that. And a lot of people are kind of very upset about it. I've never been somebody that defends Donald Trump on every single thing he does or says. I still think the alternative, either him or Hillary would have done the same things, exact same things he's doing, bombing Syria, continuing the war in Afghanistan. And it's really, if you want to continue this endless war and cost thousands more lives, that's one thing. But then to use that, as far as we've come in, trying to come this far in 9/11 truth, to then have him say, oh, well, Afghanistan, these people in the caves were responsible for, the controlled demolition of the World Trade Center. That's ultimate Illuminati, globalist, New World Order. That's what that is. And then, he has these people like McMaster, General Kelly, Mattis, whom obviously are very... I've already shown in one of the last videos how McMaster had gone to Bilderberg this year. That was only a few months ago. So he's on board with the program. The thing about this guy McMaster is they didn't even... he was somebody that they tried to get 4 or 5 other people for that job, and nobody else would take the job, and so they ended up just giving it to this guy McMaster. And I don't know what the outcome that they want. I'm really confused. Not really confused. I know the war makes them money. The war makes these private companies money, and that Donald Trump is basically saying more money to them, more money to Deep State, more money to CIA, NSA, DOD, Homeland, whatever. And then he even also said that basically that they were giving them less accountability, and then more defense spend, more money, less accountability. At one point during the speech, he even said that
I have already lifted restrictions the previous administration placed on our warfighters that prevented the Secretary of Defense and our commanders in the field from fully and swiftly waging battle against the enemy. Micromanagement from Washington, D.C. does not win battles.
He's limiting the amount of basically communication that the military on the ground has to do with people in Washington, which, they're useless also, these people in D.C. But the fact that you're doing that says that we're giving, you have to, basically, I'm letting you become less accountable, which basically means more dead people, more dead civilians, more, human atrocities, war crimes happening on the ground, that, it just gives the wrong signal. On top of the fact that it continues an illegal occupation based upon lies and conspiracies, so very, very disappointed. I did want to talk about it because, I don't agree with that. Just because, whatever happened with what I was doing during the campaign, that doesn't mean that I'm going to support these New World Order globalist moves that he's making. He got rid of Bannon, got rid of Michael Flynn, and these are people from the beginning that weren't advocating for this type of stuff, weren't advocating for the bombing of Syria, definitely weren't advocating for a continued presence and then giving more troops in Afghanistan. So Trump has been closed in. The people that kind of didn't want to do those things have been boxed out with the help from the media and the people within, part of the Deep State, New World Order, globalist control scheme. And then it's like being in a cult now. So they just basically box you in and just start brainwashing you with, ISIS is going to, be revitalized if we don't knock them out now. And I'm just thinking, like, what's the end game for them? Being able to have control in Afghanistan and the Middle East to the point where if they even suspect a baby is being born that might be a terrorist, they just kill the baby right then. Like, that, is that what type of control that they want? And then they can say, well, we knew that kid would be a terrorist one day, that would try to, destroy America and hate America because of our freedoms, So it's just pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Also, people, I've been taking a little heat from the last video I did. I just also would kind of just want to make the point that the video, at the end of it, it was Civil War ? The point of the video was, with all of that going on, are we, the people, not secret society, not shadow government, but we as a people, are we going to allow ourselves to get into a civil war? That's why I put "you decide ? Is it going to happen? We hope not. Probably not. I don't think people are that stupid to fall into the trap, but I thought it was a legitimate question to ask, because this is where people are angry, they want to fight. So it was just a question that I had. Is this direction that we're going to go in? Because I do agree with some of the comments that it is Hegelian dialectic to, try to group people into different factions and blah, blah, blah. But it is the reality of what's going on now. But looking at that video and looking at how angry people are and the rage that people have, I was just like, why can't people actually protest some of the things that we need to get done, like what's going on at the Federal Reserve? That the Federal Reserve has never been audited, and trillions of dollars on a yearly basis goes unaccounted for from the Pentagon, and through the Federal Reserve System. And speaking of which, sometimes doing these videos on YouTube, in this whole quote truther community, you think that you have a pretty good sense of what's going on within the quote truther community on this YouTube platform. But sometimes I'm kind of surprised at how little I know about what's really going on here. People have apparently, allegedly, found out that the numbers on the back of your Social Security card, they're basically saying that they're using that with some routing number from the Federal Reserve, and that they're able to pay their bills like this.
Good afternoon, Federal Reserve Bank.
Yeah, I would like an explanation on why you guys aren't a federally owned bank and you guys are a private owned bank and have a account there under the Social Security card that I have possession of.
Hold on, please.
Please listen to this important announcement. The Federal Reserve banks have received a number of unauthorized transactions from consumers trying to make payments using Federal Reserve Bank information. These transactions are fraudulent. Any video, text, email, phone call, flyer, or website that describes how to pay bills using a Federal Reserve Bank routing number or using a Fed account is a scam.
So I'm watching some of these videos or reading what some of these people are talking about, where I guess this all basically started with this guy Jordan Maxwell, who basically said, you are traded on the stock market every day, and once you're born they give you a Social Security card, and they can buy and sell you, blah blah blah. And so that's been something that I've heard for a while, but now people are believing that they can claim the money that they've made from buying and selling them every day on the stock market, which is not a far-fetched idea. I mean, not something that should be discounted, because it is a privatized bank that hasn't been audited, that answers to no one, that is run by 12 or so member banks. I'm assuming would be, J.P. Morgan, major Rothschild, European banks that are, working against the average middle class, poor man and woman of not only this country, but the civilized world. And so, I think that, they probably are doing something shady like that, but to think that you could take your social security number and then, pay your bills for off of that is, I don't think we're at that point yet. So anyway, people are doing it, believing that they can do it. The problem, though, is that when they're putting these numbers in off the back of their social security card, it's going through, to pay bills. Because, the people who believe in it say that this is proof that everyone has an account linked to their social security number that they can, buy and spend. But then the Federal Reserve, because now the Federal Reserve is actually responding, the different Federal Reserves throughout the country, Federal Reserve Bank of New York, Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, Federal Reserve Bank of whatever, they're now responding to these claims that are being put in by saying, listen, these numbers are, it's like 9 numbers or so on the back of your social security card. And to be honest, those numbers can, they can basically be linked, it's just a random set of numbers, and they're so random in their numerical structure that they can just be linked to various accounts from throughout the world, various 9-letter numerical numbers, and that doesn't mean that your social security card can buy things. Now, it is coming from the Federal Reserve, the bankers who, perpetuate all these things in our country and around the world. So, I'm not always inclined to just believe everything that comes out of their mouth, but these people are doing it and they're getting reversals, which is the point. They're paying their car note. They're paying, their house, their mortgage. People are paying their bills, like cell phone bill. They're doing all this through this Federal Reserve routing number. And it's going through, but then it gets reversed in like 2 or 3 days. So people are racking up the debt, finding out the hard way that it's bullshit. I don't think that we're at that point yet where the Federal Reserve can fund your whole lifestyle, because of them, robbing and stealing and plundering the taxpayer money for, over 50, 60 years now. So, but I wanted to tell people not to do it. That are, listen to that follow on, that are, subscribe to my channel, because, people are going into debt. People are losing their cars behind this, and this has been like a huge phenomenon last month. But I'm just kind of now seeing it, and I wanted to talk to people about it, because some of these guys that are telling people to go do it are homeless. Have lost their homes behind doing this. Believing that they can, buy a house with the idea, with the belief that these numbers on the back of your social security card links to some Federal Reserve account. So please, people, don't put yourself in even more debt. Don't get your card taken, because this is what is happening now with some of these people. They're getting all these reversals. And then they're telling their family members about it and their friends about it, and then their friends and family members are getting reversals. And then, some people have been arrested behind this whole thing. 2 people at this point have been arrested. So stay away from it. I do think that we should kind of look into that idea that that's possible, but don't be trying to pay, your medical bills with that, because it hasn't been proven. Not one of these guys who've been posting these videos of them talking about it has proven that they've, are living a luxurious lifestyle based upon their Federal Reserve account. So anyway, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to condemn Donald Trump's actions over Afghanistan, because it just means more death, more war. The bankers make more money. These private military contractors make more money. And then the taxpayer of America is paying them more money. He's basically already said more defense spending, more money to shadow government, more money to deep state to propagate a war based upon a conspiracy. And as we're getting closer to September 11th, the anniversary, I'm definitely doing a 9/11 video this year. I still have so much to say about that, because I lived in the city when it happened. And I'm telling you, the fact that Donald Trump, blamed Afghanistan, and especially him being the one with the whole Saudi Arabia, I'm going to release pages from the 9/11 Commission report. It was sad. It was sad and pathetic. So I wanted to condemn that and not let you all know that, I don't support everything he does. So yeah, it was just going to be kind of a quick video. I am working on actually this whole deep state, where is our money going? That's kind of the next video I'm trying to work on. I was trying to finish the deep state video, but to be honest, so much is happening right now that I want to wait before I release that one. And yeah, but just wanted to do a quick video. Disappointed in Trump over his actions, listening to Bilderbergers like H.R. McMaster, who was a reject. They didn't even want him. I mean, Trump keeps forgetting about that. He didn't even want McMaster. He was basically thrown on him because they said, you've offered this job to 7 other people and nobody else wants it. So, all right, people. So, until next time, saying the truth, stay in the Lord. I'll see you on the next one.